Biochemistry is a fascinating and growing field in science which is mainly introduced in detail in grade 12 biology, either in the Canadian school system or internationally, and it's quite fascinating how this branch of science deals with highlighting and explaining at the molecular level how living organisms, different structures, and organizations influence their function. Like, for example, this interesting diagram which shows a particular segment of the DNA has three different compartments or chemical structures coming together to perform a specific task in there, and also added is a particular organism, and right inside at the molecular level we're seeing a cell which is pretty much the functional unit of life in there. It actually grows into a tissue, and a specific type of tissue comes together to form a specific organ, and this organ working with other organs coming from either different tissues or from different cells actually performs a specific function which is crucial for the existence of this particular organism or species in there. Now, big questions have been brought up by bright minds, and you, the future scientists, are part of the problem solving, and that is why this field of science is undergoing a revolution. So that means that you have the change that is actually going to foster the new understanding of science, specifically in biochemistry, either through evolving technologies, moving away from the paper to chemicals, all the way to electronic microscope or XRDs, or the use of mass spectrometers. All this actually is quite exciting for we all to be able to dig really deep and answer questions that is actually driving the future of science in there. Questions began with the chemical structure of their interaction, then to the organization of cells, to tissues, to organs, to systems, then to tapping and using energy for survival. And all this actually enhances our understanding of the reproduction and the aging process, going from the baby which has its chromosomes containing the telomeres, and over time leading to aging, the telomeres actually decreases in size. And it's quite exciting to see how research is actually targeted towards this particular aspect of development of species and how aging can actually influence our understanding of life. Now, focusing on biochemistry, this is actually divided into three areas in molecular genetics in there. Molecular genetics in this case is a field that seeks to understand hereditary and genetic information expression in the molecular terms in there. Now, molecular genetics is actually divided into three parts, which is the structural chemistry, which is quite interesting because this looks at the organization of atoms or molecules, either in terms of the covalent bond existing, or I would say ionic bond that's existing, and that brings different compartments together through intermolecular forces that arrives at a functioning structure. Like, for example, proteins, different segments of protein, like for example primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary, that actually performs a specific task in there. So we're going to be looking at that particular structure of chemistry. And another segment of molecular genetics is genetic biochemistry, and this focuses on the DNA and how the DNA actually drives the expression of specific genes in the phenotype sense. Like, for example, various proteins actually interacting with the DNA, which is the nucleic aspect, and how that leads to either the expression or the inhibition of specific expression or traits in there, with the help of either a binding site or a specific RNA polymerase and stuff like that. So it's quite exciting to see that branch come into play. And finally, metabolism, which is a chemical reaction totality in living matter, which comprises of this interesting cell membrane, which has the movement of glucose from outside into the inside of a cell through a protein channel on that particular cell membrane, and this can actually drive either insulin to actually control the level of sugar in the blood, either by transforming various sugar molecules into glucogen or glycogen, or going into long-term storage, which is fatty acid, which actually influences the cell membrane totality in a particular cell in there. So this and many more we're going to dive into, and many questions and misconceptions that we students have in understanding biochemistry, and I'm looking forward to exploring this with you. Stay smart, stay strong, and believe in yourself.